everybody and welcome back. Today I am really excited to make this video. I did a poll on my Instagram story to see what most people wanted to see in this week's video, and it was pretty obvious the majority of people wanted to know how to book a backpacking style trip around Thailand on a budget, and they wanted to know what would be a perfect itinerary for a beginner. I've been to Thailand 6 times now. I've been on my own as a solo female traveller. I've been with partners on a kind of a couple trip. I've been with my parents. I've been with friends. So I've done Thailand extensively and I absolutely love it. But this video is going to be doing a very basic route. We're going to be flying into Bangkok, visiting Chiang Mai, and then I'm going to leave it up to you as to what we do at the end. The options I'm going to give you are to go to a beautiful island that's near Phuket called Ko Yao Noi. So this island is a lot quieter than Phuket and it's got beautiful beaches and there'll be a lot less people there, which makes it a lot more peaceful and I personally think a lot more enjoyable. If you want the action and you want all of the McDonald's and Starbucks and bars and clubs and all of that chaos, then Phuket will be a better place for you. But I'm also going to show you the beautiful Koh Sok National Park, which is one of my favourite places in Thailand. Not everybody knows about it, and you can do some amazing things there, like stay in tree houses and visit this beautiful lake where you can stay in floating houses on the lake and do lots of other really cool things. So let's get on and show you this itinerary. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. It means so much to us and will help us grow this channel. So I'm just going to show you the basic geography of what we're going to be doing. So this is a map of Thailand. And as you can see here, you've got Bangkok, which is where we're going to be flying into. From there, we're going to take a flight up to Chiang Mai, which is up in the north of Thailand. And then from Chiang Mai, we're going to take another flight down into the south to Phuket Island, which is down here. But we're not going to stay on Phuket Island unless you really want to, but I'm going to advise that from Phuket, we take a short speedboat across to this island here, Ko Yao Noi. Ko Yao Noi is this beautiful, quiet island that you're going to have an amazing time on, and I'm going to show you some videos of our time there. But if you don't want to do that, you could go up to Koh Sok National Park, which is here, and this huge lake is absolutely breathtaking. I'm going to show you some videos of it, but you can stay on floating little houses there and it's cheap and amazing, and it's one of those kind of once in a lifetime experiences that you will honestly never forget. So this video is not about finding flights. I've done another video on this a long time ago and I cover a lot about how to find cheap flights in other videos and on my TikTok. This is more about the itinerary, but I'm just going to show you quickly the flights that I found for this example. So as you can see, I've done a search on Skyscanner. We've got London to Bangkok. This trip is going to be at the end of March next year, 2023 until April. And as you can see, the cheapest flights are coming up around £392 per person. This has got a really short stopover, which personally would make me quite anxious. So we can click down them and just see all the different times, the different stopovers, and find the flight that is going to best work for us. This trip is going to include return flights from London to Bangkok. From Bangkok, we're going to fly up to Chiang Mai. From Chiang Mai, we're going to fly down to Phuket. And then from Phuket, we're going to fly back to Bangkok before flying home from Bangkok back to London. So all of the flights that I found for this particular trip, it's an example, this will fluctuate, but just to show you what prices you can get for a trip like this is £480. That's for all of the flights. Now, obviously that isn't going to be the total transport cost, but that's going to be the biggest chunk of it. Things like taxis and sky trains and river taxis and tuk-tuks and all the other ways that you're going to get around are really going to be quite a minimal cost. It's so cheap to live in Thailand. It's so cheap to get about in Thailand. So this £480 is going to be the bulk of our transport. So we can put that aside and budget that into our trip. Okay, so when you get to Bangkok, you're going to need somewhere to stay. I wouldn't recommend staying in Bangkok for longer than about 3 nights because you can do a lot of the main things in a short amount of time. This is a very limited amount of time that we have to go to Thailand, and 3 nights in Bangkok is going to be perfect. So I've done a quick search on booking.com and I've looked from the 21st to the 24th, so 3 nights. And this place in Khao San Road actually looks perfect. Khao San Road is a great place to stay. It's got a lot going on. There's lots of restaurants, lots of bars, really lively, really chaotic, but there's good access to a lot of the things that you want to see from there too. And this hotel has got 3 stars. You're right in Khao San Road. You've got a pool. The place looks really nice and the reviews are really good as well. And if we have a look at the price, £47 for the 3 nights. That's divided by 2 people. So £23.50 for 3 nights in Bangkok. So we could book that. I'm just going to show you the place that we stayed. So I was traveling with my parents and we stayed at this 5-star place by the river. It was my parents' first time in Thailand and we booked somewhere really nice for when we landed. So this place is obviously amazing and it's right by the river. They've got their own shuttle that takes you to the main SkyTrain station. So it's a really convenient location as well. Obviously, just look, it's perfect. But a lot more expensive. You don't need to spend this much. But if you wanted a bit of luxury, this is going to be kind of 355, 338, depending whether you want breakfast, divided by 2 people for the 3 nights. So it's up to you, but I'd personally be going for the cheaper option. If you do choose to stay by Koh San Road, it isn't accessible by the SkyTrain, but there's a river taxi station really close by, and we always use this tourist boat, which is amazing. If I just show you their website, you can see they have different types of boats. There's a guide on there, you get a guidebook. It's very touristy, but it's cheap and it's really useful. As you can see the map here, there's all these different stops stopping at all the main temples. One of the stops is at the BTS station, so you can get off and then use the SkyTrain to get to other parts of Bangkok. And there's a stop there at Koh San Road. You could spend the day using this boat to visit all the main temples, the Grand Palace, Wateroo. There's lots and lots of things you can see on this route. If we scroll down, you've got the timetable here. So it departs every 30 minutes. It's very regular. And you can get an all-day river pass for 150 baht. That is about £3 or £4 to use it all day. Or just a single journey ticket for 30 baht, which is around 60-70 pence. So really cheap way to get around. Really useful if you're staying on Koh San Road. If you choose to stay at the fancy hotel that we stayed at, there is a free shuttle from the hotel that takes you to the central pier. And that's where you can get on the SkyTrain to get to all the different places. Or you can buy your ticket for this tourist boat and go down the river towards Koh San Road and all the different temples. So we're going to spend the 21st to the 24th in Bangkok. That's 3 nights in Bangkok. On the 24th, we're going to get a flight to Chiang Mai. Now, there are trains you can get, and we've used the sleeper trains before, but the flights are so cheap, and when you're limited for time, like we are with this 2-week trip, flights are a lot more convenient. They're a lot faster, and for the price, it's worth just flying personally. That's my opinion. So as you can see on Skyscanner here, I've searched Bangkok to Chiang Mai and just look, the prices are really cheap. But this Vietjet isn't my favourite airline. So if we clear the filters here at the side and just put some of the better airlines, Thai Airways, really good airline, £23. There's lots of different times. That's going to be a really easy way for us to get to Chiang Mai. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so once we're in Chiang Mai, we need accommodation. So I've done a search on booking.com here, and as you can see, there's this square, and these are the walls of kind of the old town of Chiang Mai. And this is a really great place to stay. There are so many temples in there. And if we just hover over a lot of the places, I filtered for places with good reviews. Look how cheap they are, £11, that's per night, £37, £20. So there are so many options here. Anywhere within those walls is a brilliant, brilliant location. And all of these are just so, so cheap. Let's just have a look at, this one's £11. And if we just have a look at another one, this one's £18. So this is the £11 one. If we just scroll through the pictures, what more could you want? This is clean, modern, it's got really good reviews in a good location. This one is £18 per night. It's got a pool, in the centre of Chiang Mai. The rooms look amazing. Like, just honestly, look at this place. This is £18 per night, so £9 per person for the night. So personally, I'd be booking this one. So just make a note, £9 per person per night in Chiang Mai. Now, if you're limited for time, I'd recommend around 4 nights in Chiang Mai. And in that time, I personally would recommend doing an overnight stay at the Elephant Nature Park, and then spending the other nights within the city walls of Chiang Mai and exploring the temples, enjoying the food, going to the night market, and having a really good time. But the Elephant Nature Park is somewhere I've been a couple of times now, and the work they do is amazing. You can look into it before you book. They've got a really good website, but let me just show you the options, whether you want to go for a day or the overnight stay, and how much it's going to cost you. This is the Elephant Nature Park website, and as you can see here, there's all different ways you can visit. You can do a single day visit, which is 2,500 baht, and that's about £57. Or you can do the overnight stay, which is what we did, and that is 5,800 baht, and that works out about £132. Now there's all these other different things you can do, but these are the two I would personally be considering for your short trip while you're in Chiang Mai. The overnight stay for £132, that includes your transfers from Chiang Mai City to the park. So they'll pick you up at your hotel, take you to Elephant Nature Park, and then take you back to your hotel after. It includes all your meals and all the activities that you're going to do throughout the day and your evening's accommodation. So I'm just going to show you some videos of when we stayed there, but this is the place that we stayed in. They're like little huts and they back onto where the elephants are, so you can see them in the evenings. And the food there is really great. They also rescue a lot of dogs, so you can go and see where the volunteers are working with the dogs and the dogs that they've rescued. So there's a lot of activities going on in the day. You get to help feed the elephants, you get to help make the food, so kind of moshing up a lot of banana and all the other things that they eat, and making the balls, going out and feeding them. And if you do the overnight stay, you get to wake up early on the morning that you're there, and they take you out to see the elephants before all the day tour guests come, because obviously you can do the single day tour or the overnight stay. The benefit of the overnight stay is that when you wake up in the morning, there's nobody else there. It's just a beautiful experience to just witness these elephants just living their best life in this huge reserve. You get to hear a lot of the sad stories about where the elephants have come from, but it's just really heartwarming to see how happy they now are and know that there is an organisation like this that's putting in so much work to help elephants that have been negatively affected by tourism, by the logging industry back in the day. And they're just doing really good work. So you know that the money you're spending, it's giving you a good experience, but it's also contributing towards helping these elephants. So obviously, depending on when you choose, or if you choose to go to the overnight stay at the elephant park, will depend what night's accommodation you book in Chiang Mai. But as you can see, it's going to be around £9 per person for the night. So whether you're booking 4 nights or 3 nights and doing the overnight elephant stay, it's not going to be too expensive. Once we finish in Chiang Mai, we're then going to get our flight from Chiang Mai to Phuket. Now this is a long journey, so flying is really the only sensible option if you're limited on time. So once again, I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but I've done a search, Chiang Mai to Phuket. We're going to go on the 28th, so we've been 4 nights in Chiang Mai. Do a search and see what comes up. So as you can see, there are a lot of different prices here. I personally wouldn't want to be going too early. So this one that departs at 9:25, you'd have to be at the airport for kind of 7:25, so you might want to do that and get there early. This one's perfect, I think, 11:25, getting you to Phuket in the afternoon. I wouldn't be taking the late one, and I say I wouldn't be taking it. We've taken that exact flight before, but there was a 2-hour delay, so we didn't arrive until kind of after 2 a.m. Our hotel had given our bed away. It was absolute chaos. We had to find somewhere at 2 a.m. to sleep. I had my parents with me. Absolute chaos. So yeah, get an earlier flight because anything could happen. If you're giving yourself time for delays to happen, you're not going to arrive too late. That's obviously more ideal. So we're going to fly to Phuket. So on this itinerary, I'm giving you 5 nights in the southern region. Now what you do with those 5 nights is up to you. You could spend the 5 nights in Phuket, which is very lively. There's a lot going on there. It's very tourist orientated, which some people love. I'm going to discuss with you Ko Yao Noi, which is an island 30 minutes away from Phuket. Really easy to access and a lot less people go there. Or we're going to go to Koh Sok National Park, which is about 3 hours north of Phuket. It's really easy to get there and it's an amazing place to visit. So you could do one or the other, or you could even do a bit of both. You can mix and match this, it's your trip. I'm just going to give you some examples of what the nightly prices are and what your options are. First things first, I'm just going to show you some of the accommodation on Ko Yao Noi. So we stayed at 2 different places. First, we stayed in the Suntisuk Resort, and I would highly recommend this place. You get these little bungalows and they're quite basic, but they're very clean. The food there is really good and you are literally on the beach. The beach is just 2-second walk away. And if we have a look at the price, it's just £41 per night. So £20 per person per night, but that includes breakfast and it's a really good breakfast. And we loved it here. The reviews are superb and yeah, it's perfect. The other place we stayed, which again was my parents wanting to be a bit lavish, was this place called Villa Lydia. This is a private villa. It's got this infinity pool. Obviously, it looks absolutely amazing. There are 4 bedrooms. So if you're going with 8 people, this price divided by 8 is absolutely fine. If you're a couple, you're not going to stay here. It's ridiculously expensive. We didn't pay this much. I think we paid about £600, but this was a good 4 or 5 years ago. But just showing you, you can get some absolute luxury on Ko Yao Noi. So that £900 was for 2 nights. It's actually £483 per night. Doesn't really make it much better. But look, £29, £16. Everywhere's got great reviews. This one's got this big pool, 4-star, £75. You can get some absolute luxury on this island for relatively cheap. You know, relatively to the prices that we're used to. Just scroll down, you might have seen this place on Instagram. If we look at the pictures, obviously it looks amazing. You get this kind of tree house with a pool, and yeah, it looks absolutely fantastic. But it's not cheap. Wow, look at that. If we just go back to the options, there's our Sunti suit, £41 a night. Honestly, I'd be booking that one, it's amazing. But you've got tons of options, so just look through all your options and pick somewhere that works best for you. So where we stayed at the Sunti Suk Resort, you are literally on the beach, as I showed you in the pictures, and this is the beach that's kind of right outside. There's a little sandbank that takes you to this little island. We didn't see other people there the entire time, and it was so beautiful. You can go to the town and get a boat for really cheap to this place called Ko Kudu, and it is beautiful. There's all of these beautiful rock formations, and it's a really cheap thing to do with one of your days. So alternatively, as we discussed briefly, the other option would be to go to Koh Sok National Park, which is so beautiful. You have to go. It's one of my favourite places literally in the whole world. I think it's one of my favourite places in the whole world. So I'm just going to show you some options for accommodation in Koh Sok. So I've gone onto booking.com. I've put Koh Sok National Park. We're looking just at 1 night. Oh, and this is one of the floating resorts we went to, but this one's 4-star. Wow, they've built a pool. They built a pool on a lake, which is absolutely insane. But this place looks absolutely beautiful. But £300 a night, we're not spending this. But this is the kind of place we're going to go to on the cheap. I'm going to show you how to do this on the cheap. We stayed in somewhere very similar to this that wasn't as luxurious and did not pay £300 a night. So let's get rid of that and just have a look at the other options. But as you can see, there are tons and tons of cheap places you can stay in Koh Sok National Park. This is where we love to stay. I've stayed here a few times. It's called Our Jungle House. It has really good reviews. And if we look at the pictures, you can see you stay in these beautiful tree houses. I've got some pictures here of us staying in the tree houses, and it's not cheap, but for the experience, it's absolutely amazing. And this place will help you organise trips to go and stay on the lake. So you can stay in a bungalow for just £39 per night, but we want to go in a tree house because that's really fun. £88 per night for the tree house. So that's £44 per person. So it's pricier than a lot of the other accommodation options we've seen, but it's an amazing experience, and who wouldn't want to stay in a tree house in the middle of the jungle? So I'm just going to go on to the Our Jungle House website, the website of these tree houses. And as you can see, they offer these experiences. So you can book all these different day tours from there. You can book a full day visit to Chow Lan Lake, which is where the floating houses are. Or you can do what we did and book the overnight tour to Chow Lan Lake. And that's 2,600 baht, which is around £59 per person. And that gets you your transfer to the lake, from the lake to the floating houses, your night on the floating house, and your meals, and your activities, and water as well. So it's actually a really good price. And if you're going to pay for a day trip while you're in Thailand, this is the one you need to book. So this is £59 per person. You saw the other more lavish place, the 4-star floating houses were £300 per night. We did this exact tour with Our Jungle House, and this is where we stayed, and it was beautiful. I mean, the house was a mattress on the floor, but what more do you need? Like, you could swim in the lake. They took you on these beautiful boat rides to go and visit different parts of the lake, and it was just awesome. The food was great. Highly, highly, highly recommend doing this if you're going to go to Koh Sok. The other thing is Our Jungle House arranged pickups from Phuket. So there'll be cheaper ways you can do it, I'm sure. I can't remember exactly what we paid, but they will organise transfers for you. And we had return transfers, so they picked us up in Phuket, took us to the Jungle House. From the Jungle House, they arranged our trip around the lake and the stay on the lake, and then they dropped us off back in Phuket. So really convenient, and it saved us a lot of time getting buses and having to work out where we were going, and taxi drivers not knowing where our hotel was. it was just a lot more convenient. And when you have limited time, convenience is everything. So our flights from Bangkok to London to get back home are on the 3rd of April, but they're quite early in the morning. So I would recommend getting a flight back from Phuket to Bangkok on the 2nd, staying somewhere near the airport the night of the 2nd, and then getting up early to go to the airport. You know how to do this already, but I've done a quick search. We fly at 10:45 a.m. on the 3rd, so we want to get back to Bangkok on the 2nd. So we'll write Phuket to Bangkok one way on the 2nd of April, and we'll do a search. Phuket to Bangkok, 2nd of April. As you can see, we've got options here really early for £15. There's so many times for just £24, so we'll book that, £24, get back to Bangkok on the 2nd, find somewhere to sleep on the 2nd, just somewhere cheap by the airport, and then we'll fly home from Bangkok to London on the 3rd. So I tried to do that as quickly as possible, but as you can see, it's really, really easy to get about. The flights between the different places are really cheap, the accommodation is really cheap, and there is so much amazing stuff to do for really cheap. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And if you have any ideas of what you would like to see in next week's video, put them in the comments or send us a message on Instagram. But thank you so much for listening. It's been so much fun showing you this wonderful route, and I look forward to filming next week's video. So, bye.